Well, Happy New Year, motherfucker.
Happy New Year.
We are in 2021. It is official. What did you
Thank
get up
fuck.
to for New Year's? What did you do?
Not a lot, mate. I was just working, earning some dough.
Yeah, fair.
You know me,
Fair.
always hustling.
Yeah, mate, always on the hustle, always on the hustle. So the last time we got together, I can't really remember what was going on. I think I was talking about my stand-up comedy. You were talking about a few bits of the acting stuff. And what have we been up to since? I know you've been back to training and thinking about fighting again.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun. But one
Dan-
thing, go on.
dance lesson. I went back to some dance lessons, and it just wasn't the same because it had to be like COVID secure, and you had to
Mm,
fixed partners to dance with. Not saying
mm.
that the partner I was dancing with wasn't any good because she's a brilliant dancer, but it's just not the same feel as before.
No, of course.
So I went back to a gym where we were punching each other in the face.
Punch him in the face. Good. One thing I really want to speak to you about, because there was something that was a little bit classified and that we couldn't speak about before, but now it's all kind of over. We can speak about it. So you
Yes, we
have
can.
been, and you've successfully um, caught a paedophile,
Yep.
and he was taken into custody and all that stuff. And obviously you caught him. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. So there was a program a few years back called the Pedophile Hunter. I think it was the first time it was ever kind of seen or done anywhere, where a film crew followed him around for about a year, seeing what he was doing. So basically, the idea is you set up a fake profile on different chat sites on the internet. That's the breeding ground for these pedophiles to groom children these days. So you set up a fake profile. So we get photos. The people I was working with, they got photos from people who are now over the age of 18, but the photos of themselves when they were younger, so 12 or 13 years old, and they give us permission to use their photos to create these profiles. So you set up a fake profile, and basically you just sort of leave the profile there, join up to different chat sites, Facebook, things like that, and then these people just come from fucking nowhere, and there's a lot of them. Within less than 24 hours after setting up the profile on Facebook, there was like about 200 friend requests. It's
I remember
absolutely
being
insane.
I remember being on the film set with you in Wiltshire, and because you had another phone, didn't you, to do this with? We called it
Yeah. You don't want to do it on your normal phone. It's better. I had a separate phone.
yeah. So you had your pedo phone, and I just remember it was just constant ding, 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 hundreds. It was a matter of hundreds friend
Yeah.
requests, messages from very strange looking people. I have a question. Might be a little bit inappropriate, but well, it is this podcast. Why
Okay.
do it? My question to you, after having done this now,
Right.
pedophiles really do look like pedos, don't they? What's that all about? It's so weird. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's like there's a certain look about them, isn't there?
Yeah, it's very strange. I remember you like showing me, photos and stuff from people from the guys that were getting really like aggressive towards your decoy, and she's like, yeah, he's definitely a pedo. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. Very strange that it has this look. But all joking aside, um, you know, you managed to actually catch one, and I think they were in Scotland, if I remember. And so obviously they went and stung
Yeah.
him on your behalf, which was a very intense thing for us to watch. And we were actually
We were watching it
driving
at the film set, weren't we?
on the
Yeah.
way. On the way
Yeah.
there, we were driving and we were watching it on the film set, and they went and stung him. It was crazy. It was exhilarating, really. It was wild. The
Yeah.
adrenaline was insane, and of course, for you, you had all of that work built up. You had to flirt with this guy. You basically had to chat him up. I mean, you're not chatting him up because you have to take a step back, essentially,
No,
but you're more of a punching bag, essentially.
I think that it's a really good piece of work to be doing, but at the same time, it's almost like you're playing a game of cat and mouse with them, because the whole time you're talking to them, you're trying to come across as a child, so you're trying to get in the mindset of a child and talk to them as if you're a child.
Mm.
They're trying to work out if you're actually an adult or a copper.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're playing a game with them. It's
Yeah.
like you're trying to convince
Yeah.
them you're a child, and they're trying to work out that you're not.
I guess the reason why you were so successful is because like your spelling, vocabulary, and grammar is pretty much there anyway. Like if a child, like it would have just been like 100% convincing. You just had to be yourself.
Hey, I'm an accountant. I'm good with numbers. What can I say?
So, well, let's put it, some of these people that were messaging you weren't very good with numbers, mate, because they were getting that age way wrong.
I mean, yeah. So the way you have to do it is like you have to. So for it to stand up in court, you have to be very careful with what you say. Like you have to say pretty much straight away within the first couple of messages that you're of a certain age, underage. Throughout the whole chat, you have to be mentioning things like school, parents, things like that, to make it clear to the person that you are of like school age, you're a child. You're not allowed to sort of send them anything sexual, which I couldn't anyway, because you're
a middle-aged man. You're a middle-aged man.
You're not allowed to speak to them and sexually. So this is why, as it leads on to now that I'm out the other side of it, it's great that you to do this work, but also a lot of these people, they're very clever. So if you're saying you're a 13-year-old girl and they start talking about sexual acts to you as a child, and you have to be quite naive and go, I don't know what you mean by that. So if they start saying touch yourself down there, you have to say, why would I do that? I wouldn't do that. So you've got to be quite naive and say you don't understand what they're talking about when they start talking about sexual things. And I'm not being funny. Most kids at the age of 12, 13, 14, they know what sexual things are. So the minute you start saying to a paedophile, I don't understand what that means, most of the ones that are clever cotton onto the fact that you're a decoy and stop talking to you, because as soon as you start being naive and act like you don't know what they're talking about, they switch on and go, that one's trying to trap me, and they bugger off.
So the one that you stung and got caught and was charged and whatnot and arrested. Let's focus on before we get to the end. Let's focus on the whole process. So he would have messaged you at some point. What was it like? Yeah. What was the interaction like? Because the problem is, right, there is a huge issue, as we know, with pedophilia and child trafficking and all sorts of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And the reason it doesn't really get fixed is no one likes talking about it. You literally say the word, we're going to talk about pedophiles. Everyone goes, no, not the pedophiles. But it's ridiculous, right? And for people like you to go and do this work, and there's these tons of people that do it, big organizations, non-for-profit, and, they're the ones that are manning the fuck up and facing that as a humanitarian reality, that this is a thing that adults are doing in abundance, might I say. There's a lot of dirty motherfuckers out there doing it, Stu, and you've seen that, right?
Mate.
So, anyone who doesn't want to listen to this podcast or feels like you're switching it off because it's a difficult subject, you are 100% part of the problem.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And because it needs talking about.
I knew that it was a problem before I got into it, but I didn't realize just how much of a problem it was. Like, I'm not joking, man. The amount of people, we're joking about pedophiles look a certain way, but there were some that add you on Facebook and they look like normal people with wife and children, and they're talking to what they think are young children online, and it's fucking insane, mate. Like the amount of people doing it that seem to think it's like, let's be real about it. Anyone who does it or has a sexual attraction to children, there's got to be something wrong with them mentally, because any person with their right faculties about them would know that that's wrong, and it's not, there's got to be something wrong with these people, and it's prolific. There's so many of them out there. But the trouble is, as well, the most prolific ones, they somehow seem to be getting protected. Like there's I'm not going to mention names on here, but there's one paedophile that a lot of people see online. He's very prolific.
Mhm.
He's on all the children's apps like TikTok and Snapchat and things like that, and talks to young children. He's been stung so many times, but he's not in prison. And he gets moved about the country by the authorities and hidden away in hotels and stuff at the taxpayer's expense because of fears of people killing him.
Yeah, it's mad,
And
isn't
it's
it?
like, how has it got to a point where taxpayers' money is better spent on protecting paedophiles who destroy the lives of children? That's basically what they're doing.
Yeah, no,
If
of
they,
course, it's rough. In terms of this one person that's got stung you, to your best memory, you got a message from him, right?
yeah.
Now, what is the dialogue like? Is there like a grooming process? Is there like a, are they warming it up, or are they just straight in trying their luck?
Some of there's
The one that
different
you caught. I'm asking about the one that you caught.
the one that I caught was very, very slow to pick up. He started off sort of chatting as though he wanted to be just a friend kind of thing,
Right.
and slowly built it up towards
The slow
getting
game.
into talking sexual. Yeah.
Wow.
I think he was trying to suss me out, I think, and trying to work out if I was actually an adult, which he failed on massively because he thought I was a child.
No.
So my acting is not as bad as we thought it was, Jack.
Yeah, over text message. Yeah, over text. So, and then at some point, when did you realize that you were going to catch this guy, or you were going to actually get a sting sorted? Because at some point there needs to be a setup. And I remember there was a specific few events that was challenging to get that set up, and there was some smart people doing some smart things, and you actually managed to get him at his house.
It was so funny. So initially he was so he's from Scotland, and so at one point he was asking if I would go and stay in a caravan with him in Scotland somewhere. Then it changed to going to stay at his house, and he was actually talking about buying a train ticket for a 13-year-old girl to travel from Exeter to Hamilton in Scotland on a train on her own, lie to her mum about where she was going, and go and stay with them at his house. So because it had gone quite sexual, I sent all the chat log to the people I was working with, and they looked through it and gone, yeah, that's enough for a sting. He's tried to talk to you sexually. He's trying to arrange to meet you. He wants you to lie to your parents. He would, and essentially just like run away to Scotland to go and stay at his house.
Wow.
If that was a real child who didn't know, just maybe, there are vulnerable children out there who don't particularly.
Well, it's happening to children. It happens. You hear about it very regularly to real people. The issue with people who only see that though there are people out there catching pedos as decoys, it detaches any realism from it. But what people don't realize is happening to real children as well. And the work that you were doing was just highlighting how much danger was out there at that time. But of course, we love lying to ourselves and pretending the world is great, and but it's not. There's some horrible motherfuckers out there doing some disgusting stuff.
Yeah, like if had that been a real child who got on a train and went up to stay at his house, what you got to ask yourself, what would happen to that child? Would he have? He obviously had bad intentions of what he wanted to do with that child. After he's done that, would he then let that child go home back to her family, or
what would have happened?
That's what you got to think of. As of yet, I don't know if I haven't heard. I've given a statement to the police after everything. I don't know quite what's happening yet. It's probably going to go to court at some point. But yeah, the way and the tactics that the people that I work with used to find out where he lives was was brilliant. So he was dancing about the issue of buying the train ticket, but they felt they had enough to sting him, and they felt he was dangerous enough for us to go, right, let's go and sting him. So they wanted to find out where he lived. So what they did is set up an adult decoy, which is So it's a fake profile of an adult female who then friend requests this person that I was talking to. And then the adult starts chatting him up as if she's, because the guy was 62. That's what I'm saying. So I'm a 13-year-old guy. I'm pretending to be a 13-year-old girl, and he was 62. So he then gets a friend request off a woman who he thinks is about 30, 32 years old, something like that. That's also a decoy, but she starts talking to him as if she's into older men, and he's getting his rocks off thinking he's going to get laid by this.
Because dude, like the picture of that girl, it was a solid 7 out of 10, mate. Like you must have been thinking, what?
I'd have put her at an 8 after she was.
Yeah.
So he's getting well excited, thinking he's got this like hot smoking chick that's chatting him up, wants to go meet him. So he gives his address to that person. Then we wanted to verify that was his actual address. So he'd given his phone number to the woman as well, so he gave his phone number and the address to the adult decoy. So what the guy did, our sort of like head decoy, who's been doing it for a long time, he phoned the guy up and pretended to be a delivery driver, saying, "Yeah, I've got a parcel for you."
Genius.
So he phoned him, he didn't get an answer, and then about an hour later, the paedophile phoned him back. So, "I've got a missed call from you." And he went, "Oh yeah, I'm from so and so from DPD. I've got a parcel for you. I just want to check that." And he got him to repeat back his address to him.
Right.
So then we'd confirmed that was the actual address, and then we spoke to a team from Scotland who were more local to him that were going to go and do the sting, and they sent someone round. So what she did, she'd had a photo of him from the chat log that he'd had with my decoy account, and she was going around and she knocked on his door saying that she'd lost her dog, so that he would come to the door, and then she would say, "Oh, I've lost my dog. Have you seen a dog anywhere?" So she just, the day before the sting, went there to knock on his door for him to answer the door to just confirm 100% that it was that man that lived at that address. So that's
when good people get together with good intentions, amazing things happen. And there are people doing it. There are good people out there putting in some great work, really good work, but you only hear about them on social media. You don't hear about them in mainstream anything. It's for some reason it doesn't want to be discouraged. It's very strange.
This kind of thing is never really talked about in mainstream media. No. Until you get a big story like the Jeffrey Epstein thing, then it's kind of discussed a little bit in the mainstream media, but not that much.
So at that point, sorry to interrupt. So the next day comes, and me and you we need to go back to this film set to redo some scenes, and we get the notification, don't we, that it's happening at 7 p.m. It's happening at 7 p.m. And they live stream it on social media. And this was going to be this was your boyfriend. This was your boyfriend that was going to be getting caught. That's big. Do you know what I mean? The energy was high, and we were kind of nervous, weren't we? We were kind of nervous and stuff. And I remember like when he came to the door and stuff, and he was just denying it. Oh no. And then they got all the chat log there, and just watching the process of these people, these pedophiles, just going through the sudden realization that their world is going to change and that they've been caught in. It starts with denial, then fear, and then like, mate, it was just
you see them go wild. Through the emotions, don't you? Like you live on screen.
Yeah, you do.
But it's amazing. What made me laugh about that when they stung him was how quickly he went into playing dumb. Like, oh, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just talking to her about she was having problems at school, so I was just being nice to her and just playing really, really dumb. And then I think one of the Sting team said his name wrong, and literally within a second he went, what name did you say then? And he said the wrong name again. He went, oh, well, that's not me then, is it? And he was trying to get out of it by saying that they had the wrong name. And he was like trying to, so instant, like 1 minute he's playing dumb, like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not, this isn't me. And then within a second, as soon as he saw a little loophole that he thought he could manipulate and get out of it by them giving the wrong name, he thought he could, you know, work his way out of it. It's like, you're dumb 1 second, but you were quick to pick up on that.
Yeah. And then, of course, at the end of all the interrogation, all that stuff, well, they call it their taxi comes, which, of course, it comes in the form of, you know, white and blue lights flashing, and they get taken away, essentially. And then I imagine the evidence gets submitted from the team to the police, and then it goes through a process. As the decoy, as the person actually putting in the legwork and grooming these pedophiles, as you were, what...
No, he was grooming me.
What work do you then have to put in? Do you have to then meet with the police? Is there a process that you have to still have some involvement after?
I did a telephone interview after, because obviously the investigating team were from Scotland, but the decoy was down here. So they had the chat log, which was, I think it was like about 125 screenshots of messages from the guy. So they've got literally everything that he said is screenshot in chronological order. So there's no way that he can say that he didn't send it, because it's all there. And then they just phoned me up, give me a telephone interview, and asked if I would be willing to go to court if it went to court. I said, of course, yeah. And then, yeah, that's the last I've heard for now. So I'm not sure.
And you're not going to be doing it again, are you? So
no.
What happened? You know, how did it feel? What's the impact? How tough is this of a job for somebody and those decoys out there actually involved in this? I imagine it's pretty rough stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few reasons why I won't be doing it anymore. One, because it's very time consuming. You know, they think you're at school age, so they think that you finish school, then you've got nothing to do but sit on your phone and talk to them. So, and this one was quite. He was quite intimidating. He was trying to be quite intimidating, quite bullying. Like, if you didn't respond to him quickly, he was getting angry and showing his anger towards the decoy. So it's very, very time consuming. You've got to put a lot of hours into it. So it's like 3-4 hours a night you could be sat there on a phone, and it's also very difficult to get from sort of thinking like a child and replying like a child. Can I tell the what did you have for dinner joke?
Yes. Yes, you can.
So there was one guy talking. I can't remember his name now. There was a guy talking to me, and he was like trying to groom me, and he asked what I had for dinner once.
And you're trying to convince him that you're a child, right? I'm
trying to convince him I'm a child. So I replied to him with turkey dinosaurs. I was laughing to myself as I was typing it, and then like I had to screenshot it and send it to everyone else who's doing the decoy.
The thing is, a lot of people would say, "Oh, it's not funny. They shouldn't be laughing at this." You have to get through it.
Oh
right?
God, yeah,
you have to.
Some of the stuff they say, man, it's horrific. Like the way they talk to children, and you think, you know, I've got kids, man. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, my daughter's 7, so she's like halfway to the age of the girl that I was pretending to be. So hearing the way that they talk to these children, it's fucking horrific, and you've got to try and have a laugh with it. Otherwise, you will go mad.
How many conversations like were you having in like one night?
Sometimes you could be talking to 6-7 people at once.
Wow.
You had to be quite. There were some who would like start messaging you from abroad, and you'd be like, you know, you're not going to go sting someone who lives in Italy, so you just kind of you kind of try and bin off that chat. So you try and focus on the one.
Oh yeah, the Italian businessman. I remember that guy.
Yeah, but you got to try and like get ones that you know you could possibly get a sting on. So they've got to be living in the country. You know, the closer to your location, the better, because if they're close to you, then they're likely to turn up for a physical meet somewhere. So you kind of being, you know, if you spoke to everybody who actually messaged you, you'd be talking to probably 30 people at once.
Yeah.
but you got to be more selective than that. So you
That's
narrow
insane.
it down to the ones that you could
Yeah.
potentially get a sting on.
Mm.
So some people say that is like us trapping them,
They
but
do.
it's
There's a lot of sympathizers out there, man.
well,
I've watched a few. Go on.
there was an incident where there was a guy, one of the, not me, but one of our other decoys in the same team was talking to a guy, and someone went and stung him, and then a day later he went missing. He went missing the day after the sting. He'd gone missing, and then a body was found in the same area, and they believed that he'd gone and killed himself after being stung. And some of the comments on it were, there were people having a go at the decoy, the sting team, accusing them of causing that guy's death, saying you've made him go and kill himself. You've trapped him into something that he doesn't want to be involved in, and now he's gone and killed himself because of you. And it's like, hang on a minute, no, he chose to start talking to a child.
Yeah,
it's on him. It's not, you know.
I'm not just talking to a child as well, getting really sexually aggressive towards them as well, which is,
I mean,
unforgivable.
These people, they should be asking themselves, okay, so if decoys aren't out there catching these people, then these paedophiles are going to be talking to real children, not decoys. And what's worse, you know?
Of course. Well, there we go. There is your adventures of paedophile hunting.
You've asked me why I'm not doing it anymore, and I had more reasons.
Oh, you have even more reasons. Wow.
Yes.
Go.
So as I've got into it and I've seen firsthand just how prolific the problem is, the other thing that makes me not want to do the decoy work anymore is because, like I said earlier, that some of them are very, very clever, and they cotton on that you're a decoy straight away, because of most of the decoys have to stick to the same, like, similar kind of form of chat, being quite naive to certain things and not talking sexually back to them. So the ones who are clever, the most dangerous ones, they actually work out that you're a decoy quickly, and they don't talk to you anyway. So being a decoy doesn't catch all of them. Also, the fact that when you do catch them, there's people out there who have been stung 2 or 3 times within a year, and they're not in prison. They're still out on the street, and they're still doing the same. You know, you catch them, they get taken into the police station, they get questioned, the charges get dropped, or for whatever reason, and then these people are back out on the street and they're doing the same thing again. And it seems like you're fighting a losing battle because the authorities don't take it seriously enough. You know, at the moment, if I got caught with a load of drugs all separated up, ready to sell to people, I'd get more prison time than someone who's trying to meet a child for sex.
Yes, that's very true.
It doesn't make sense to me. You know, I'm not saying that drugs are okay and you should be selling drugs, but someone who's selling drugs is selling them to someone who's already decided that they want to take drugs, and it's their choice. A child does not want to be raped by an adult, and if someone does that to a child, they're ruining that child's life forever. You know, but they don't even get prison time for trying to do that, whereas a drug dealer does. So on the back of that, it's made me realize that catching the paedophiles is kind of a no-win situation, because you catch them, they might there's potential they might see the error of their ways and go, actually, I need some help and not do this again. But most of them don't. Most of them just carry on doing the same thing. So the best way to fight it is not to catch the paedophiles, but to educate the children. So if you know of a family, if I was going to continue doing this work, I would rather work on more of a safeguarding side of it, where if you know there's a child locally who's being groomed, you can safeguard that child and educate them and teach them that the person they're talking to is wrong. They shouldn't be meeting up with that person. They shouldn't be talking to them, and educate the child. Because if you catch a paedophile, the kids are going to talk to another paedophile pretty quickly. Whereas if you educate the child, they're not going to talk to any of them.
Yeah, I feel that.
So that would be a more beneficial side of doing the work, I think, because, you know, paedophiles don't get the punishment they deserve.
That's the thing. Maybe we should be giving this new vaccine to all the pedos first to make sure it's safe. Like that could be a thing. No, I haven't got you on a conspiracy already, have I, Stu?
Mate, I didn't even go there. That's on you.
What did you say before we started this podcast? Jack, can I
I said, Jack, let's not talk about conspiracy theories this
You
time.
fucking liar. You literally said, "Oh, Jack, can I talk about conspiracies in this episode?" I'm like, yes, you can. It's okay. Go on. Oh, you're right. Dude, the world outside of people touching kids and being wrong'uns, I mean, the world is overwhelmingly divided once again. We move to a new stage in the global pandemic. And the next one is people wanting the vaccine and people not wanting the vaccine. And each group of those people shaming the other and trying to gain some control and power of the public over each one of them. Are you taking the vaccine, Stu Balls?
I don't think I would need to because I'm not vulnerable enough.
Oh, so that's a no.
Ooh. But if I was asked if I want it, I would say no.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 39 years old. I think I'm relatively healthy. I don't take the flu vaccine because I don't suffer with the flu. That's optional. I think the COVID vaccine, if you want it, should be optional too.
Yeah, of course.
You know, the amount of things that I've put into my own body over the years, I think COVID would take one look at me and go, nah, fuck that.
I think like the problem is obviously young people like us are going to be like, well, I would rather coronavirus than the vaccine if I had to choose one, because I feel like, you know, the dangers of the rush of the vaccine, and also there are people out there that don't trust the system and the government as much as you do, as much as other people do, because they've only ever got their information from one place. And you know, there's a whole wide world of information out there. It's everywhere. But when you only get all of your information from the man on the television, controlled by the same people that have always been controlling mainstream information, you get one narrative with intent and agenda of those people that control the information. Now, when you actually just broaden where you get your information from, I've always see information as nutrients, right? And of course, there's a lot of bullshit out there. There's a lot of fake stuff. But it's really easy to find the grain of truth in things if you put the work in. But the problem is everyone just wants to sit in front of the television going, oh, Boris Johnson said this, and now I'm going to go outside and... It makes no sense to me, mate.
The problem you've got is that most people, as you say, they only get their information from one source. And because our life has been changed so much with all these different restrictions and lockdowns and this is closed, that's closed, you can't go here, you can't do that, you can't see family. There are now millions of people across the country who are saying, I want the vaccine just so that my life can go back to normal. They don't care what's in it. They don't care why they're getting it.
No, they don't care what's in it. No.
They've just had their life... Because so much of normal life's been taken away from us, people want to have the vaccine just to go back to normal, or what they think will be back to normal. Yeah.
Something I noticed, right, is when coronavirus first hit, on repeat, constantly on these news channels, were graphical representations and animations of how the virus works, goes into your system, and it shows it like attacking certain organs and doing things in the bloodstream and all that, going into detail about how it works, and it's in the lungs, breaking everything down, all this stuff. With the vaccine, there's none of that. There's nothing circulating animations on how the vaccine and what's in it and then how it goes in and fixes shit. None of it. It's just, oh, we have a vaccine now. Just trust us. And it just doesn't feel right to me. The way in which recently all liability for any side effects or illness was waived from all vaccine manufacturers, that essentially you're losing your insurance, basically. And that it just rings alarm bells for me. I would rather risk, a virus with a 99% survival rate than a vaccine with a 94% success rate. It doesn't make any sense to me. The issue
you've got a better chance without it.
Where the shaming comes from, because the public love doing that, mate, because everyone needs that stress hormone. Everyone needs an enemy. They just don't know it. The shaming comes from people thinking that you are just going to keep spreading the virus if you don't get vaccinated. But it doesn't matter. You're vaccinated. You took the vaccine. You can't get it.
If it works,
yeah,
you'll be all right, wouldn't you?
Exactly. But the problem is, even mainstream people are now saying the vaccine doesn't work because it will just mutate anyway. So why are you doing it? It doesn't make any sense. People are doing it because they are being told to by the men and women on the television again, and that's who they've always listened to. They've been programmed to listen to these people, so they still do it now as adults who should be able to think for themselves. And when you spend time on the internet, obviously there's a lot of fucking crazy stuff, but when you spend time on the internet, what people don't understand is I have watched tons of videos and podcasts of doctors, virologists, flu experts saying it's bullshit, saying we're reacting in the wrong way, right? However, the counter argument from other people saying it's bullshit and fake news are people that have listened to an actor in a table being told by a producer of a profitable organization what to tell the public. And it's such a problem. It's a big, big issue. And of course, everything's called misinformation. It's called dangerous, fake news. And it's not the case. It's frustrating for sure.
We're in a world where you don't know what to believe anymore, though, do you? Because there's so much information on the internet. You know, you could make, I was saying to someone, one film company can make a documentary about Michael Jackson saying he's the worst prolific pedophile, in the world.
Yeah.
And they would have experts selling it that way, and you believe it. Another company could make a film about Michael Jackson saying he's completely not that way at all.
Yeah.
And he's just the best musician that ever lived. And you can believe that too.
Yeah.
When coronavirus first came out, and you say, you saw all these news things coming up. There was, images of people dropping dead in the streets in China. And then, in Italy, there were hospitals full of people with these big like bubbles around their heads so that they couldn't breathe anywhere in the room. And it was like, that was what we were shown to put fear into the country before it came here. But have you seen people dropping dead in the streets?
No, but there are arguments for why that doesn't happen, because obviously the virus is most dangerous at the beginning. Viral load is a thing in hospitals. I think we were shown that in mainstream information. It's very difficult to discern between the purpose of it, because if it was real, we would have been shown it. Do you know what I mean? And if they had a reason to want us to bullshit us, they'd have also shown it.
Do you know what I heard yesterday? This is how bad the propaganda machine is on BBC Radio 1. Not that I condone listening to BBC at all, because it's dog shit. But I was listening to Radio 1, and I don't know I think it was on a news segment or something like that. So I don't know who was actually saying it, but someone on BBC Radio 1 said, I think their quote was, "If you're one of these people that walks around carelessly, not wearing masks, refusing to, then blood is on your hands. You're causing people's death."
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And again, the issue is, once again, I've listened to tons and tons of videos, presentations, and podcasts from lifelong doctors and virologists saying they do nothing, and breaking down why, in front of Congress, by the way. Right. Also, huge groups of organizations and doctors saying we have really cheap, affordable drugs, which their patients are being cured from coronavirus, but it's not being passed, it's not being listed because money. But they want this is the issue, right? This is a profitable fix for a profitable problem. And so when you see all of this stuff, of course, you're going to be like, okay, yeah, well, this doesn't seem right. Right. And so somebody who really wants the vaccine should be able to go, yeah, actually, you just think that because you're getting your information from somewhere else, and you're getting your information from somewhere. And then people can start getting along and maybe give people an element of free choice, but they can't, because everybody wants to feel like the ideas from the mainstream media are their own ideas. They want to feel like they're thinking from themselves when they're not. So then the way they need to defend that feeling is by attacking everybody else with the opposite opinion. And it needs to stop because it's causing way too much division. Again, we just got over the Trump and Biden bullshit division. We just got over the mask wearing bullshit division. We just got over the Brexit bullshit division. And now we're just on to the next one, which is whether or not we should let the government stick heavy metals and disinfectant, formaldehyde, and all this crap into our bodies, which is known actual ingredients of vaccines all over the fucking world. The people who don't want that and go, actually, no, I don't fancy it, I'm fine, get shamed. What happened to my body, my choice? Now, clearly, when it suits, mate, when it suits, and it's an issue.
Well, what you put in your body is important, isn't it? So whether it's diet, food, information, it's all important stuff.
Yeah. But when I have conversations with people about this, mainly older people, like 50 plus, you know, and I talk to them about it, they're like, oh, everyone's dying out there. We need the vaccine. Everyone's dying. No, they're not. No, they're not.
There are people. If you look at the death rate from last year to this year, I think it's pretty much the same.
Yeah. Look, it's killing a decent chunk. It's killing a decent chunk of people. It's killing a chunk of people. What is it, like 4 times as much as the flu or something? And it's like, you know, that's.
But I think when they're calculating flu deaths, I don't think they put down every death as flu, though, do they?
No, I don't know though, mate. We'd be speculating. But the point is, the bottom line of this, I don't want to speculate on what's truth and what's not truth. Okay. What I want to express is my frustration to people who are trying to defend the ideas as their own, which were given to them from somewhere else, from the mainstream media. Just stop it. They're creating digital soldiers out of you. They're going, believe this is the news, believe this, and now you go out there to your friends and family on social media and you get out there and do what's right, and you disagree with everybody. You get them to take that vaccine. You get them to trust the government.
Stress. It's a stress hormone, isn't it?
People exactly. People are over. Yeah, of course. And at the moment, what are people doing? Sat at home, bored, depressed, doing nothing. So where are they getting their kicks? Exactly, where are they getting their kicks from? It needs to fucking stop. It needs to stop.
One thing that I've read that was interesting about this whole thing is if you look at like the timings of all these lockdowns and stuff over the country, most small businesses, shops, high streets, things like that were shut in the lead up to Christmas. So what did that mean? Everyone had to do? They had to go to online shopping to buy Christmas presents. So everybody was people don't even realize it, but everyone was pushed towards sites like eBay, Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, there's been a massive wealth shift during this pandemic. People don't, I think a lot of it is money orientated. Companies like Google, Apple, Amazon, eBay, the big elite and the tech companies like YouTube and things like that. They've all made massive amounts of more profit than ever, and all the small businesses are losing because they've had to close.
Yeah,
what is the agenda in that? You
can certainly make that connection, whether that was an intended thing and why this all happened, or whether the pandemic just wasn't wasted. I mean, I do strongly believe there is a globalist agenda. Okay, I don't think that this virus happened on purpose to escalate a globalist agenda, but I don't think it's being wasted. I don't think.
The way it's been handled has made it easy.
I don't think the opportunity is being wasted. And, who knows what there is. I think there are a lot of people out there that aren't really emotionally equipped to start going down certain rabbit holes and start maybe considering different things and maybe thinking that actually the way in which the world is ran isn't ran by good people. Something of which I say very often to friends, is the resources that governments have to create a happy, high vibe world for everybody is there. They have the skills, they have 100%. The resources, they have everything they need. But even before coronavirus, things weren't great. Everybody's vibe is very low. That's why there's such a big mental health problem, right? Everyone is sad as fuck. And ask yourself, is that by accident or is that intended? And because
Hopefully so.
I strongly believe the lack of the amazing, happy, world we could be living in through the resources we have. I believe the lack of that is intended.
If you look at most things that cause divide and anger between people, most of those things are manufactured. So before COVID, it was all about, pre-Brexit, it was all about immigration control. And
Yep.
it was all you were seeing on the news was about boatloads of immigrants coming across into the country, which made everyone angry about it.
And then
going,
it was
"Oh,
the
let's get
racist
out of the
issue,
EU."
race
Yeah.
issue, and then it was the trans issue. And then before that, it was the class issue. And then before that, it was the politics issue.
And without the mainstream media, none of that is relevant.
Mm-hmm.
People don't talk about it unless it's
Yeah.
in the mainstream media.
Well, yeah, because it's not part of their reality unless it's in the mainstream media.
Exactly.
And where you put your attention is where you put your energy. And there's a big.
Where have I heard that before?
There is a global. You know what the real global pandemic is? People are being raped for their attention and they don't even realize it. Absolutely everything out there is.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
The social media companies, your attention is what makes the money. Mainstream media companies, your attention is what makes the money. The online media companies, YouTube and stuff, your attention is what makes the money. Or the apps on your phone, your attention is what makes the money. The computer games, like getting kids addicted to gambling, opening crates and stuff and buying, in-game items. Guess what? Your attention is what makes the money. And people now need to start seeing their attention as their own personal superpower. And before, when people say, oh, you vote with your money, that's changed again. You vote with your attention. You will vote with whatever information you decide to consume. Because, as Dr. Bruce Lipton says, it's all about our environment. And I think I mentioned this to you the other day. If you spent 1 month, right? You're not a religious person. No, you're no. If you spent 1 month every single day, the only content you had to swap all your Netflix, fiction, all social media, everything, couldn't listen to anything, no music, just pick a religion. Pick a religion.
Mm-hmm.
Pick one.
Now.
Yeah.
Sikhism.
Sikhism. You start looking into Sikhism, right? And you have to solidly study it for a month. At some point, you will come to me and you will go, Jack, these motherfuckers, they got some good points, mate. They got some really good points. And it will just happen because that's the information that you are consuming. So quite naturally, you are now relating to this. And eventually over time, because that's the environment you're putting yourself in, you become that information. That's why people need to see information as nutrients. That's why when people, swap their bad habits for listening to motivational content, they go on a course for entrepreneurship and change their mindset. They learn meditation. They start, doing investment courses and financial courses from Warren Buffett. All of a sudden, they start behaving like an entrepreneur because that was the environment they put themselves in. Now, the big issue I have at the moment with this coronavirus pandemic, what environment are people putting themselves in? They're sitting in front of the television, looking at mainstream media only as their only source of information. Now, the mainstream media profit from your attention, okay? And what gets your attention is fear and apprehension. And so because you're giving away freely your superpower of your intention, you are living in the environment of fear and stress because it keeps you there. So you're just going to stay there. And it's really challenging to communicate this with people. Because they don't want to be wrong. And more importantly, they don't want to feel like that they've been trapped in this, what I would call an information matrix. We're not seeing it so much. It's really the younger generations that are really leading the kind of movement on, well, even just freedom of information and freedom of press, to be honest. And of course, the older generations are the ones kind of doing the majority of the shaming, irresponsible kids, you don't know anything. And it's like, well, actually, maybe you need to open your eyes, pick up a damn laptop and actually put some work in and stop giving away your attention freely to those that have always bled you dry for your emotional vibration and money.
Well, it was interesting you say that because, we had a conversation the other night, and on the back of that, I started looking into some podcasts that I can listen to educate myself better. And there's one I started listening to from the guy who helped create the film Social Dilemma, which is all about social media and your attention is profitable to companies. And he had an interview with a girl who'd done research on casinos in America and how everything there is designed to 70% of something like 70% of their revenue comes from slot machines. So the buildings are designed in such a way that as soon as you walk in, you're led subconsciously without realizing by the architecture of the building is designed in a certain way, the carpets are designed in a certain way, so it kind of leads you towards that area of the casino. And what they started doing is they started using the same sort of tactics that casinos use to get you hooked on slot machines. They started using the same sort of tactics on social media. So when you're on your phone on Facebook and it's a constant scroll, it's never-ending scroll. It's like your body's expecting a win. So it's like you're swiping and going, on the next swipe, what am I going to see? What am I going to get? So the longer they can have you swiping up continuously, the more ads you can get put into your news feed, because they know what stuff you're interested in, because it's looked at your cookies on your computer and it says, this guy loves trainers, so let's keep putting trainer ads in his feed. The longer that you're on there swiping up through this constant swipe that never ends because it's infinite, the more ads you'll see, the more money they'll make by you clicking on those ads. It's social media has now made, I believe everyone's on the addiction scale somewhere, but what you use to as your outlay is always different. It could be shopping, gambling, sex, drink, drugs, whatever. But social media has allowed the tech companies have basically made people addicted to social media.
Yeah, of course. I mean that's every technology company's goal, and that's what it's also.
But is that irresponsible?
It's also. Sorry, say again.
Is that a responsible thing for these companies to be doing?
Well, yeah, of course, we know that. That's a really obvious question. But the issue is that it's still going on. Psychology has been used by companies for a considerable amount of time in order to manipulate people and wanting to buy stuff. This is why I left my job in Switzerland for that exact purpose. I was 24, 25 years old. I was offered this 6-figure salary job to go and work for this company who I would love to name. Holy shit, I would love to blow that up. And essentially they were working with big retailers. So, companies that begin with R and then with Goss, and train companies and big coach companies, that all of the ones that you would know. And essentially their program was this reward scheme, this reward scheme that people would sign up to. And it was bollocks, really. All that would happen was you would be billed like 10 or 15 pounds every single month. But the thing is, none of the customers knew they were signing up to it. And that was the plan from this company. And my job was to use psychology in design and user experience, and using the data that gets collected, the big data issue that's going on at the moment, to manipulate people into signing up to this program without them knowing about it. Right. And this was like years ago. Okay. And, and I was paid a lot of money to do that. I was paid a lot of money to be involved in that. And it kind of, it dawned on me like, yeah, I'm paid a lot of money for a reason. It's a bribe. Do you know what I mean? It's it's a bribe to have me doing that. And at the time, it was a lot of money. I was young. It was great. But you know what? The money didn't outweigh the kind of compassion I had for the people that were getting stung. They had a huge customer service department next to my office, and it must have had 50 employees from all around the world that spoke different languages, and they needed them because they were all the time 24/7 taking calls from people asking what the hell are these payments coming out of my bank. And some people had them for 10 years, every single month, like 15 quid or something like that. And I used to hear all of these stories. And this is just one technology company doing something like that. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Psychology is being used to defraud the public, because once you willingly, or not all the time willingly, give up your attention to these things that hijack your dopamine receptors and your body's, reward response, you at that point absolute prey to being manipulating and allowing them, as I spoke about earlier, to create the environment for you to make you the person that they want, makes them profitable. And when that's communicated, and I've been on a few other people's podcasts to talk about this stuff, people go, you're a conspiracy theorist. Where's the conspiracy? I'm just thinking about life. I'm just thinking
actually
about
happening.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about life. Maybe if you put Netflix down and stop living your life through Jon fucking Snow, you might take control of what you're doing in your own life. But people aren't at the moment.
Who's Jon Snow?
Oh, Game of Thrones, man. Come on. You literally know nothing. People will get that reference, mate. All right? People will get that reference. But anyway, well, we've had a rant today. We've ranted.
We've ranted. Good, so
should
we need to relax. How do we relax these days, Jack? I
don't know, mate. Do you wanna do a rap? I'll beatbox for you.
I can't rap, mate.
Mate, well, you can act though.
Oh yeah, I can act like a child.
When's our movie out? When's The Cowboy out?
I don't know, mate. I think we've not heard anything about it.
We've not heard anything back. I think January was the release date for the premiere. I just want to go back up and saw it.
There was talk of another movie, wasn't there? That's still not come about because there's nowhere to film it yet and because of all the restrictions.
Yeah. Coronavirus,
bro. Maybe the acting career's on hold for a little bit, mate.
You reckon?
Potentially.
Well, look, Stu Ball's the brave. Thanks for doing this again. We need to do it regularly throughout January and February.
You had enough for me already.
Yeah, mate, you're done. You're done. You're far too low vibe for me today.
Oh, man. There's so much more to talk about too. We'll have to save it for the next one.
I know. Are you working today?
No, mate, I'm off today. It's New Year's Day.
Well, let's go grab some food.
I got to pick the kids up.
Oh, look at that. There we go. Look, see now.
No, what time is it? No, we've got some time. Let's go get some food.
Yeah. All right then. Cool.
Is there anywhere open?
We'll find out. They don't want to listen to this. Right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.